and welcome back to a brand new episode of NoonaTalk. I am Zara.
I'm Sophia.
And you've read the name. You know what's happening. We're talking about Stan Burnout because we are all, at the end of the day, K-pop stans. And not just K-pop stans, but also K-drama stans. But burnout is real. And we're going to
Mm.
talk a lot about that later on. But first, what's happening with you, Sophia? What have you been up to since we saw you last?
I had my convocation ceremony. Crazy. I am a master's graduate now.
I saw a reel where somebody said, I've already gotten my master's and I've run a full marathon. What do I do next? Because I don't want to get married. And I think between the two of us, we've done that as well. And then one of the first top comment was like, go to Everest. And I've done that as well. So I'm a little worried. What do I do next now?
Maybe you get the master's and I run the marathon.
I think now we have to swap. I could never do a master's. I was looking, one of my neighbors,
Mm-hmm.
she's doing a PhD. Great for her. Love that for
Mm-hmm.
her. And I was just like, generally just like perusing, seeing like what it would take if I was wanting to do a master's.
Mm-hmm.
And there is literally like nothing that could convince me to give exams again.
Mm-hmm.
I am very happy in my 30s. I cannot give exams once again. Like test anxiety is so real.
You could do a
And then
thesis-based master's, so you don't have to write an exam.
okay, it's not just like exam, even thesis whatever. Like there is like still marking at the end of the day. And I feel
Hmm.
like official judgment,
Evaluation, yeah.
evaluation like does worry
Hmm.
me. And I would just like go crazy with stress. Like it's so amazing that like you and like so many other people who go back to studying later in life, I'm just like, wow,
Hmm.
I can't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a tough thing. I think anyone who's like, oh, just do a master's, yeah, it's not easy. It's like, and in fact, it's very hard. I think school to college is an school to like undergrad or whatever. It's an easier this thing because you're already in the routine. You know, like this is how you study, this is how exams work. But once you're working, you're like not connected to that. You're not used to just sitting down and learning and memorizing and be giving an exam. Like that's so difficult. But I would say it's a great way to make friends as an adult because I think your circles are so limited to like people you knew before. It's like a great way to meet a new set of people, which is don't do a master's to make new friends, but if you're doing a master's, use it to make more friends as well, I think.
Yeah, that's a very expensive mixer. Like they have free ones, you can just go and meet people.
Yeah, it's also like, school gives you like shared trauma. Like, I think that shared trauma bonding is important for deeper friendships.
Yeah, that's true. That's like how if you have a terrible boss, you end up being really close with your work colleagues as well because you've bonded over that. So yeah, no, valid. Absolutely true. One of my friends has started a Labubu business. I feel like I should not talk about all the details of what she's doing because not all of it is maybe the most halal. Do you like Labubus?
No, but I will defend people's right to like Labubus because the internet is filled with people like, oh, Labubu's so childish, Labubu's so lame. It's so like I feel so triggered because honestly, okay, like I don't like Labubus. Honestly, there are very few like things like that I do like. Okay, BT21 maybe, but I think Labubu is literally like liking Labubus is like being a K-pop fan. Okay, it's something that you just connect to. It's your vibe, and your vibe is your vibe. Like you don't need other people's validation to like it. So I will defend everyone's right to like Labubu because you can and you should be able to without people being like, yeah, it's like you're a kid. Shut up.
Yeah, no, I don't like Labubus mostly because I just think they're really ugly. There is a wacky collection that's being teased, and there's been some leaks which seems interesting. But even then, like I think there's just the smile, the teeth. It's a little too unnerving for me, so
Hmm.
I don't personally like them. However, I have like a plushie on every single bag. I have multiple plushies on some bags. I have a plushie and a photo card holder, which is also shaped like a plushie on multiple bags. So conceptually, I'm here. It's just the la boo boo itself I'm not here for. But
Yeah.
you're right. I think that's another thing. Like we're gonna get now into it.
Hmm.
Like if you're
Hmm.
standing la boo boos, which collection do you stick with? They keep generating new ones literally every couple of weeks, and there's different types as well. And you gotta catch them all. They have one blind box has like 9 different options. Some of them are rare, and everybody wants to pick like specific ones or maybe all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great segue into talking about stan burnout.
Oh no, I was just gonna say something else.
Oh no, say it, say it, say it.
Okay, but I don't want to ruin your segue.
It's okay. We'll come back to it.
Okay. Speaking of standing, I am literally standing a new group and I'm very excited because I have not I've not been into a new group in a moment.
Who what says so
Really,
much?
why are you so surprised? It's Cat's Eye.
Oh, I may be so bold. Is it because two of the members have come out?
No, I mean that's not the reason, but that's great. Like Pride is over, but happy Pride, I guess. But yeah, no, I like Touch was cute, but I did not care about this concept of a global girl group. I like we've seen it being tried before. It doesn't really work out. You're still like a K-pop adjacent thing, and but yeah, I think Gnarly dropped, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's so lame," and so I didn't listen to it. And then I think I watched the performance video popped up on my this thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're dancing." It's a girl group that's dancing. And then I started getting into it, and Gnarly literally, like, even they said it, you won't like it the first time, but by the third time, I was like, everything is Gnarly. And now I'm super into them. And then I stayed up all night. I watched Dream Academy. I started following like some of the other members as well. And now a lot of them are friends, and a lot of them are doing their own independent musical ventures as well. Some of the contestants are now like one of them is a choreographer for Lizzo, so like they're doing things. Yeah, but like I so got super into Cat's Eye. I have been keeping up with them. Gnarly got an Ice Spice remix, which was not bad. Like for a change, Ice Spice did something good. One of the members,
Did she
Lara,
say
is
girl? Like did she go gnarly?
no, she it was I don't know, it worked, which is weird. Maybe
Okay.
the mixing was done really well actually. And Lara is South Asian, and as like the minimal representation of South Asian people on a global screen, it's like very nice to see someone who's like there and out, and she's like a queer South Asian woman, which is like great. Also, she's a DJ, and she made like a remix of Gnarly with Snarky Puppy, which is so interesting. Like I'm here for the talent.
Oh, I think I've heard that. I did not know Lara did that, but I have heard that. Oh, I had no idea.
Mm.
Wow, that's really good.
And they also one of them had a funny story, or they're also under hype, so they did that the story where they met Hobie, I think, and they did the what challenge did they do?
Mona Lisa, I think.
Ha, okay. And they did the Mona Lisa challenge. So Manon, who's like an elevator, like all of them were in an elevator in Hype. She said J Hope came in, and she's like, "Hi," and like he was like a little off, whatever, like shrugged them off, and then she was really confused, and then later on she was like, "Why? Like he knew us. Why did he act like this?" And then everyone was like, "He was not J Hope. It was like another Bangtan member," but she didn't say who, and I think that was a very interesting story. And then we're guessing who, and then she did say it wasn't Jin. So now like jury's out.
None of them look that similar, unless
You know, you
unless
dress like in a hat and like
that's what I
baggy
was gonna say.
clothes.
If they're wearing hats or like sunglasses and masks, then it's like a
Hmm.
little hard to gauge. And
Hmm.
what do you mean? Of course, like even body type, nobody's confusing Jin and J Hope. Like I'm really
Yeah.
sorry, that's not happening.
Honestly, I was like, what if it's Yoongi? Because like, you know, he like
I feel like
completely.
his eyes are very
Yeah, but like
distinct.
maybe they want like in their face like that, like thoda side
Okay,
mein.
his skin color is also really distinct. I was trying to be polite.
I'm sorry, not everyone is like this is the shade difference between Hobi and Yoongi.
There's a lot of shade difference. That's what I
No, I
mean. It's
agree, but not everyone is like that deep into
I'm
it.
curious. Who could it have been? Because
I
I feel like Makne line just has again to me. It's just they're all so distinct. It'd
yeah,
be hard, but yeah, I don't know.
I know. I'm like super into Cat's Eye. Obviously, my bias is Lara, but I also like Mano.
Okay, but like now that you're a new stan, but also an old stan, I think it's time to talk about stan burnout.
Mm,
What would you describe stan burnout as? Because I feel like there's different ways to look at it.
Hmm. I think that maybe I don't know. It's like being overwhelmed by standing, like when it's too much and you feel like you need to keep up, but you can't keep up, like physically. It's I think that's one. I think the other thing is that that standing doesn't give you the same level of joy and excitement anymore.
Anytime that it becomes like a burden, or maybe you feel like it's another chore or a task or job that you have to do, instead of it just being something that it's fun,
Hmm.
which is what it should be, I think that's when it converts into stan burnout. We've been stans of multiple groups and things over our lives. Do you think you've experienced stan burnout?
100%, definitely.
I feel like yes, but I don't think necessarily in the same way, because I think I went into standing life very aware of what my like levels and boundaries were in terms of certain things, which we'll talk about more. And I think why it matters, especially for like the Indian subcontinent where we exist and where primarily were stands. I think things like time zones make like a big difference. We're still relatively lucky that like Seoul and like India doesn't have that much of a difference, but it is still enough. Like the 8:30 p.m. KST fear still exists in all of us, and things like that. I feel like that's why, and it gets really toxic. You said this. You were like, oh, there's a lot of pressure to sort of keep up. You ever sort of experience that, or is that something you just know about?
Hmm. I think, let me take you back to the
Oh,
beginning of my stan journey. I think the first thing about standing, especially when not just as an adult, but like the first thing a person I ever stand honestly was like Rahul Dravid at the age of like eight, nine.
I have very clear memories of this.
Yeah, I had like a shoebox where I would clip like his photos from newspapers and keep them in. And I think the first part about standing is that for some reason people shame you for it. Like, it's funny, it's a joke. Standing a
Everybody is a
cricketer
fan
in
of something.
no, but standing a cricketer in India cannot be something you can shame someone for because everybody does it. But because I was like a young girl, it was like a whole thing. Whereas like everyone goes crazy watching cricket and like Dhoni ka, like people get tattoos of Dhoni and that's like okay. So it's weird. So starting something as a girl is like something I think there's a weird image around it. Like we believers have that
Directionals.
directional Swifties, like anyone
Mm.
who's like any big fandom, and so does I think army or K-pop fans also feel that, especially in India, where there's also the added element of racism just for the fun of it. So the first issue with standing, I think, is like fighting against society to love something. That's one. Then it's the other thing is the fan aspect of it, where being in a fandom also comes with its own set of expectations. A lot of fandoms, especially online communities, have some weirdly high standards of what makes you a stan. Like it's like a secret club, and if you didn't know that what Kim Namjoon ate on the night of Monday the 13th, like you're not a good enough stan, which is another thing to keep up with. And like we discussed, the third thing is the volume, especially as a K-pop stan, the volume of content, of the volume of merch, comebacks, all of these things. So there's so many elements that you're trying to keep up with and manage, that I found that when I started like deep standing, I could say maybe around 2018, 2019, it really depended on how much else was going on in my life that would allow me to stand. Because during COVID I had like all the time in the world, and I think we all did. But when I like moved to another country, when I was like doing my masters, I was studying, I was trying to create a new life, it was very difficult for me to even know what was going on. And often I see this on Reddit where sometimes people ask like, "Am I still an army?" And like, I haven't kept up with this, and it's just like it's such a personal thing, but there is such a huge element of social validation, which really creates the pressure of the burnout, I think.
That's such a good point. Like it's external, internal, and external in different levels. Like so that
Hmm.
it comes up in all sorts of ways, and we keep trying to like one up each other as fans, which
Hmm.
is so unfair. Like already the world is trying to push us down and say like, oh, K-pop isn't like this and that, and oh, you're just a girl, of course you're into K-pop and all of these sort of things, which is hateful. Why are we then further doing it to ourselves? one of the things that I did say at the beginning, which is like I had very specific boundaries, because similarly, I ever since I was young, I've stand like I was a big Jonas Brothers fan. I got not really into EXO specifically, but I was really into Baekhyun from like when I was in university. I really liked Five Sauce, all of these sort of things. So I've been through the gamut. I know K-pop as a whole, like as an ecosystem, had a lot of other things, and I think by the
Hmm.
time I got similarly deep standing, the internet played a bigger role. Like when I was younger, it was more just like having access to their like music video, or like
Hmm.
being able to listen to their song, and that was kind of it.
Hmm.
There was no expectation beyond that. But by the time deep standing, like 2019, 2020 onwards, it just, you had to stream every music video, and you had to stream on multiple platforms, and you had to vote for every single thing, and these sort of things, and I didn't care about that.
Hmm.
That was not aiding in my life, that was not making me happy. I was happy for them if they, for any group that I was a fan of, or even if I'm not a fan of the group, if
Hmm.
anybody manages to get like whatever a million views on their video, good for them. Like why would I hate
Hmm.
on that? Because again, like we are in a great space in terms of time zone, because we were relatively close by, but there were a lot of like American armies who'd be up at like absurd hours, and so whenever our groups then went to America, that would mean like waking up at 5 o'clock to watch an interview on MTV. And it's just like, sometimes, yeah, if you felt really like great and you were awake anyway, but I don't know if that's something that you have to do.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing, like you're right. And very recently, I think maybe in the last 7-8 months, I left Twitter. I
Hmm.
stopped using it as a platform, and I was very afraid, and I still have technically held on to, like, I've not deleted my account, I've just deleted all the apps and everywhere. Like I don't go on that platform anymore, but I've not
Hmm.
deleted my account, because in the back of my mind I'm like, oh, that's the one way to stay connected, like how else? And now I
Hmm.
use the Weavers app, and it's great. Of course, Instagram and everything else updates as well, but I'm just not a part of like that specific community, and I was very afraid that I would be left behind if I
Hmm.
left.
Yeah, like keeping up is such a big part of it. And like, have you, like, do you think about like why do you need to keep up? Like, why do we need to watch? Because I was that person. Like, I would stay up at 12 a.m. KST to watch all the MV drops, listen to all the albums, like watch all the interviews in the US and shows and everything. And again, that was fun. I didn't feel forced. But when I was moving and I was like, oh shit, I feel like I'm missing out and all of that. And now I just didn't have the time, so I didn't do it. And sometimes I don't even listen to the album for weeks or months after it's come out. And then I kind of found my own time and just did it when I felt like it. And that was also okay. So it was a weird realization or coming to terms with the fact that this expectation of keeping up to be a fan is not really necessary, and you can be a fan in your own way. I think the other thing that I think like people get from K-pop is this sense of community, and the keeping up also helps you stay in a part of the
Part of the
community. Yeah,
conversation.
which has its pros, but from what I've seen and read on Reddit, is that one of the biggest reason why people experience fan burnout is the fandoms itself. Like there's so
Mm.
much pressure by the fandoms to behave a certain way. Like there are some weird rules fandoms will have. There are like fan wars is a thing. Like it can get so toxic. And also people do use like fan spaces as a way to be their own toxic selves. Like they'll, like, create a group chat with like all the fans and then like exclude someone or do things like that. Like that's such a, like, people start having such negative fandom experiences, which obviously is then associated with the artist for them, and that itself
Mhm.
is like, it really makes them question whether they even want to be a fan of this artist because of the fandom.
Yeah, no, you're right, and you're right that there are specific rules which are also really unsaid. If you're a hard stan, or like if you're a soft stan, why do you have to decide that? And like things like that, and about like shipping culture. Some people get that it's a joke. Some people take it extremely seriously, and do the videos with the arrows and the pointing and the circles of like, oh, they held hands, must be in love. And some people are like, oh, that's an established ship, but it's an understanding that it's a joke. Like there's so many like layers to this, and
Hmm.
where you land on it determines how much of a fan you are. Or
Hmm.
things like, this is such a specific example, but like when I became an army, it was the law. It felt like to me, it was the law that if a non-army asked, or anybody, if they asked you what your favorite BTS song was, you had to say Spring Day. Like it really felt like that to me for a very long time, and it was this strange like pressure that I felt. It yeah, because like
Yeah.
everybody would think about it. It would be like, oh, if somebody else, you have to say Spring Day. It can't be like, oh, by chance you couldn't say Bapse or something like. I'm trying to think of like the more like
Hmm.
Ashleen songs, but like it had to be something that you put the best foot forward, and all of these sort of things. And you're right, keeping up with every interview is just impossible because like I did that for Mod 7. I did that. I watched, I think, every single interview. And they are not just BTS, but like all groups are all extremely PR trained. They have talking points. They will go to every single interview and say the exact same talking points.
Yeah.
So that meant I watched 50 interviews of them saying, "We are seven. We've been together for seven. That's why this is Map of the Soul 7."
I thought about
And it's
something
sort
like
of
this.
like all of this feels very performative of
Hmm.
fans. Like you have to perform as a fan. You can't just sit
Hmm.
back and it be an enjoying thing. You have to make sure that you hit all these check marks as a
Hmm.
fan. And so far, everything we've mentioned pretty much are things that are free.
Yeah.
We've not talked about albums, merch, concerts,
Bubble
and like
membership.
oh my god, I will never get over finding out that you have to pay money to message somebody. That was insane to me. But yeah, no, I think similarly, like I think I went into it with very specific like ideas of like this is how I want to be a fan, and I would not do anything more. Like if it's merchandise, I'm not buying merchandise that's not functional. I'm not buying something that's just there to sit around. Like I wanted things that I could wear. It had to be a t-shirt, it had to be socks, it had to be something like that,
Hmm.
or a bag or whatever. I did buy pretty much every album that they have, and not but like I didn't do every version of it. And now I don't buy all their solos
Hmm.
because the same thing, like there's CDs or DVDs. What, I don't even have a thing that I can play the DVDs on,
Yeah.
and they sit there. And like yes, it's nice to, honestly I feel like some, even though I don't want to buy albums anymore, I still really want photo cards. Like that is something I've not gotten over. But
Hmm.
it's just so much money, and like people are happy to spend that, but it makes you feel like, oh, should I also be doing this?
Hmm.
And similarly, like concerts, people were going on like massive, like they were traveling across America to every tour stop doing VIP and showing their like 30 lanyards in one hand. And it was like, oh, is that how you have to go watch concerts?
Yeah, like, are you the best fan if you have all the versions of the album? And then there's this weird thing where we have to support them by buying their album. Now, I get if you're like a really nubu group or a really like up and coming group, you do need like money for support. But some artists are really big. Like you buying one album or not buying it won't make or break their livelihood. That's one. And yeah, like there's so many other things. Like just okay, I mean we're just talking about BTS, but like we're
I
also
think because
multi
like these
fans.
stand type,
No,
we've
but I'm saying we're also multi stands, and like you also follow, like you have all the Bacon albums as well. You have like if someone's
TXT
maybe,
albums.
yeah, like there's that. Then there's this whole thing about light sticks. This is the craziest online discussion where you need first there's a light stick, then there's a light stick every 2 years. Now this
Hmm.
light stick is like high tech. It'll add to the, it'll sing along with the song, it'll like glow up at night, it'll help you find another fan, like it has all the
Right.
features. And every group has a different light stick. Weird K-pop fan culture where if you're not supposed to bring another group's light stick to this person's light concert because that's like offensive. Who has this money? I don't understand. Like who is doing this? There's like albums, then there's the merch of the albums, then there's like the special merch like anniversary. Sometimes it's just a photo book. Then there's obviously everyone has their own like plushie line. These plushies are like going for Christmas, they're going for spring break. There's like a plushie
There's a
merch.
travel edition.
Yeah. And then there's the paid content, like you're paying for the streams, you're paying for other things, like even with BTS. Obviously we
Like
watch it illegally, but like in the soup or all of those are all
Bon
paid.
Voyage.
Yeah, they are all paid content. And the expectation of fans to pay for these things is so high. And then there are fans in countries where these things are accessible, like if you're in Korea or America or whatever, like countries where you'll have K-pop stores, you'll have K-pop concerts, and then there are countries like India where there is nothing. So then you pay some Instagram reseller to buy you merch which comes in 3 months or maybe not, and they scam you. Like there's so many elements to it. It's insane. It is capitalism and it is the world we live in, but it is expected for people to keep up with all of this. Who among us has the money? Can we all just like invest in stocks, not to be a business grad?
Hey, I invested in hype stocks and there's an FFS investigation going on. So clearly, even that is not safe. But yeah, no, you're right. And I think one of the big factors that you mentioned, like, depending on what's going on with your life, like, I think similarly, like when I started deep standing, it was during COVID. So it was, every single V Live, because back then it was a V Live. It was so easy. You could just watch it, have it on the side because we were working from home. Then when I went back to office, and I think I missed my first V Live, I missed it because there was no way I could have had it on. And let's all be honest, K-pop, I just do not know how to keep things short. They're like, now the V Live is on, I will speak for 45 minutes minimum. And I can't take out 45 minutes of my day to like listen to somebody talk in a language that I don't speak. And this is back then when they didn't have live subtitles. So you would then have to go on Twitter constantly to make sure like somebody was translating. And I remember I missed it. And I think I just got snippets off of Twitter, or maybe you and I spoke about it and you told me like, oh, this is what they said. And I was just like, oh, okay. And it wasn't like earth shattering. I was like, okay, I missed it. No, no big deal. I found out what happened, and anything that was like interesting or whatever, I found out later on, and then just kept moving. And I think that was the first sort of point of me being like, oh, okay, no, priorities have to be adjusted
Hmm.
accordingly, and that's when you do end up missing out because this is a part of your life, but this can't be your whole life.
Hmm. I also think like I am the most minimalist stan. Like I have probably spent in my stan career of 6, 7 years, probably not more than 5,000 rupees on standing. Like I'll be very honest. I bought like two albums that I really wanted, and but after like looking at them and everything, I kind of didn't feel that level of satisfaction from owning it. I was like, okay, good, I have it, but then I realized like, okay, I don't want albums. I got some like a few merch things like socks or whatever, cute. But then I was like, okay, this is it. If I find something, it's like socks that I can get for like $10. I will have to pay $40 if it's like an idle sock. So it made me realize, okay, this is not what makes me happy. Like for me, honestly, the music and performance is what makes me the most happy. So I will listen to the albums, I will stream them on Spotify because that's my choice. Like that's my not because I'm like up all night streaming, but that's the platform I prefer. I'm gonna watch their shows through platforms that I can afford, or if I can't, I will like find someone who's uploaded it. So that's what I ended up deciding, where okay, this is not like I'm not going to be spending a lot of money on it. I will say when Bangtan go on tour, I will be going on tour. Like I don't care. I will be
Yeah,
attending at
yeah.
least
We've had intense planning sessions about this.
yeah. And which probably obviously wouldn't happen this year, it'll happen in 2026. And I've already started saving money for it, you know? So that's like something that I'm already planning ahead. So I think that is very important, where, like you said, you wanted to do this thing and that thing. So you kind of have to decide what are the things in this entire stanosphere, fanosphere that really make you happy, and then what are the things you're doing for like external validation, trying to separate those and just doing the things that make you happy and are within your means. Like you might find a lot of happiness from buying all the albums, but is that reasonable? Is that within your budget? Is there anything else you can plan for? Can you buy second hand albums? Can you like figure out, can you join giveaways or things like that? So I think especially in India, we do have like a lower rupee value as compared to the international market, and a lot of fans are like younger. We're not in our 40s and 50s where we've accumulated enough wealth that we can just throw away money at things, it's sometimes reasonable to not force your parents to buy you the most expensive album and things, and see what can you do within your means. Or even like people who do Instagram, like this resellers, sometimes they'll split up an album so you can just buy one component or
Mhm.
something like that, which I think is very cool, because then you can like buy the photo card or buy the cute, like whatever a photo book or whatever it is that you do like, instead of spending all your money. So I think monetarily it's very smart, and a lot of most K-pop fans are women of many ages, and financially smart women are important.
Yeah, no, true. And like, I think just to go off, like, think of your fandom life as a journey and like a not a race. It's really not. It's not a
Mhm.
race. It's not a job. It and loving an artist, no matter how much you love them, no matter how passionate you are about them and their work, and how much time you spend talking about them, that doesn't mean it has to be a constant 24/7 devotion.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, your life is still your primary life.
Hmm.
Like, they are an addition to it, and they may have made your life 1,000 times better. Like, they could have fixed you, healed you, whatever problems you had, they are your source of comfort. But that doesn't mean you owe them anything more than you are willing to give. Like, you don't
Hmm.
have to do that. And very honestly, like, I think we should all at some point have reality checks, that these are at the end of the day men, very rich men.
I mean, not all of them are men.
Okay, okay. For me, I think, because I tend to stand boy groups.
Hmm.
For me, I think I have to keep reminding myself that these are at the end of the day rich men in a country where I have no connection to or anything, and they don't know me. Like, if even though I have had great, like, fond memories and I've really enjoyed my time doing this, if tomorrow something were to happen, they're not gonna help. Like, very honestly, that's not going to be the way it works.
Hmm.
So, um like, give them as much as you can, but not more than that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think emotionally disinvesting as a stan is also, I agree, very important. And I mean, I'm just like emotionally disinvested anyway in everything, so I don't struggle with it. But obviously, like people do, when you end up feeling a lot of connection and association. So it's and again, like you said men, but I think not just men, obviously, because we all stand different, like girl groups
Huh,
also,
I was talking
all
about
of
me
that.
specifically.
Hmm.
And like, remember that they are also just people at the end of the
People.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just other people, and you are a fan of their art, and you are a fan of their public persona. Like you do not know them, they do not know you, but you also don't know them. You just know it's unfortunate, not unfortunately, but K-pop is a very commercial space. Like even when you go on your Instagram, you're only putting like 10 to 20% of your life. Like even if someone follows you on Instagram, they wouldn't know exactly who you are. So imagine if somebody based your entire personality out of those, the best food you had and the best trip you took on IG, and not like everything else that you experience and go through. That's exactly what you are
That's
like.
such a good metaphor.
Yeah, because that's what they are. You are looking at their Instagram. They might talk a lot, they might like, you know, but they might be very
Share a lot.
honest and be themselves, but there'll always be more to them, which we can't know because people are very conscious about a camera and there's only so much you can put across. So always remember that. And it's good to like people for their Instagram personality, but always know that there's something beyond it. So
Hmm.
know that there is a difference and maintain emotionally that distance from.
Like, I mean, I just want to give an example about this because I saw this recently and it was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting, where it was like that the government tells you, or not the government, but like doctors have been saying for years not to smoke because it like ruins your lungs and your voice and all of that. And then it said like, but look at these guys, and it was K-pop idols. I don't want to say their names, but like some K-pop idols who've been seen smoking,
Mhm.
or like vaping and all of that. Literally, and I was like, this is such an odd thing to say. First of all, and I think their point was like, oh, you say smoking hurts your throat and you won't, you like, how can you be a singer or something like that. I think that's what their point was, I think. But it was so interesting to see that so many of the comments were like, hey, like I'm also a fan, but let's like not romanticize smoking.
Yeah, like also scientifically, it's not like you'll smoke a cigarette and die. Like you'll smoke a cigarette continuously for 10 years, and at the age of 40, you will have whatever. So
Problems from
consequences.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, of course, it's a slow moving thing. But no, it
Hmm.
was just I was glad to see that there were people who
Hmm.
were able to be objective about it. It wasn't
Yeah.
just like, oh, my idol, my bias does this, so it's okay. It wasn't that. Like I thought it would be, because I have seen that also happen. But it was very good to see, like like a lot of the comments were just like, hey, I'm a fan. Or like they're great, very hot or whatever. But like, let's not do this. This is not the
Hmm.
look. And I was just like, yeah, okay. So there, like, I think objectivity at the end of the day is
Hmm.
important.
That's true. And I think also consumerism is also fueled by it. Like this thing you're talking about, the smoking thing, but so much of it is like, my idol uses this lip balm, so I must get it. My idol uses this laundry detergent, so I must get it. I think it's good to like get suggestions for different products or whatever, learning different culture. That's cool. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. But just doing it for the sake of it, or like buying all of it because like, just selling it out because they do it, that's like, be a little more discerning about like that. I think that's very important.
I am definitely guilty of this, though. I'm so guilty of this. Not maybe like lip balm and things, but like I think I got very influenced into streetwear, which I mean I think I always had an affinity for, but
Hmm.
like more towards like specific brands and like yes, it was like exposure. They exposed me to it, but like I was like, oh, Hobie got a petite mallet from Louis Vuitton, so sure, I will also like. I've done that. I've literally
Yeah.
done that.
I mean, everyone does that because they are influencers, so you will get influenced. But again, like you might buy the bag because you were already into bags and you started buying the bags that Hobie bought. But it wasn't like, now I will buy everything that Hobie wears and all the brands, because again, they're also sponsored by a lot of those brands, so they are not even paying for those petit malets, but you are. So always remember that. Yeah, and I think the other thing is like, by disinvesting that much, like not being that involved in the person, is also, there's always like, obviously sometimes idols and celebrities do get cancelled for like very legitimate things and they do horrible things, but sometimes they do like very basic things, like go on a date, have a friend from a group you don't like, or like just wear a t-shirt of a color that may be shitty or something,
Yeah.
and then you won't feel emotionally betrayed by them being a very normal person living a very normal life. Like it's important to know that, because yeah, I think being an online hater is really dumb, and maybe if people are less emotional about how much they love an idol, maybe they will be less emotional about how much they hate an idol as well.
That's yeah, that's a great point to sort of hone it in. But yeah, have you guys ever felt burnout? Have you been able to like distance yourself from it, or have you quietly unstand a group ever because you just couldn't keep up, or like didn't want to keep up anymore? And let us know in the comments, because I'm curious. uh I mean, I think it would take, I don't know, like people might view it as like, oh, I don't want to say it because like the fans will attack me,
Hmm.
but don't like that's the thing we're trying to get rid of. This is a safe space. We will be back in exactly 2 weeks with a brand new episode, and I think very excitingly we will be going on a hiatus again after that, so it'll be a, but for good reasons, very good reasons. Very exciting things are coming. There's this tweet, sorry, it has nothing to do with anything, but there's somebody, one of my, like a comic that I follow, they tweeted, people who say good things are coming are bragging twice. We will see you in 2 weeks. Till then, I was Zara.
That was Sophia.
Bye.